We spent the last 3 videos proving that God exists. Now it's time to move into showing that God is a good God. My name is Jacob Hubbard, and this is Freedom Chapter 23, brought to you by Incarnate Ministries, based out of St. Thomas Aquinas in Pilot Point, Texas. So again, this is our mini-series, right, trying to show how the law actually sets us free. And this is video 4 of 6, right, in that series. So it's going to be using St. Thomas Aquinas' via negativa. What is that? It's the negative way. And so it's pretty simple. We have a concept of who God is by coming to see what he is not. And so I like to think of it like the game 20 questions. I'm sure a lot of you guys have played that before. Imagine a series of 20 questions where every single answer is no. It actually whittles away and helps us understand what the thing is by the no, right? And so in that way, we can come to understand God's nature by his actually being the first efficient cause. So the first cause of everything, which we've proven through all the last videos that he is the first cause. And so we're going to move from that today and flush out some characteristics of who that God is. So what do we know that God is not? One, we know he's not material, right? He doesn't have a body, because to have a body would mean to be composite. It means that you have some division in you, like body and soul, or essence and existence. But there's no division in God, because if there were division, then that division would need an explanation, a force behind it that is unified. But God is the force behind everything. So not only is he infinite, which means he does not have a body and he exists outside of time, but he's also one. So there's no division in him. Right? We know that God is not temporal either. He's infinite. He exists outside of time, because to be in time means to be in motion. And to be in motion means to be brought in motion, brought from potency into actuality. But God himself is pure actuality, so he's not in time. He's infinite. We also know that God has an intellect. Like, he's not lacking intelligence, because by the degree argument, we know that God is the cause of every maximum, right? It's like intelligence. God is intelligence itself, right? He has an intellect. He also has a will. He possesses all of these things perfectly, and we possess them imperfectly. But all these attributes that we've said so far, they're actually such understatements as to what God actually is. So not only does God have knowledge, but he's omniscient. He's all-knowing, because he's the source of all knowledge, right? Not only does he have a will, but he's all-powerful. He is the source of all power, right? So he is omnipotent. And he's also omnipresent, which means that he sustains everything at every moment. He's able to be everywhere at once, because he's not confined by the division of space or time. He exists outside of it, and so he's able to be present to the whole at once, right? And so he's omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent, right? So those are very, very important that we understand that God, he's not like a big human being, but he's the source of everything. St. Thomas Aquinas says that we are more alike to ants than we are to God, right? Like, God is so much more infinitely powerful and great than anything that we can come to understand. And so it's not that we're projecting our own will and intellect on God, but we're simply understanding that there is will in this world. There is freedom in this world. There is intellect in this world. And that has to have a cause. And that cause is God, who is all of those things. And the amazing thing about God is that not only is he all those things, but he's all of them at once, because there's no division in him. So this is how we say that God's justice and his mercy are the same, because there's no division in God. Somehow, mysteriously, we know philosophically it has to be true, but we don't understand it. It's a mystery. That his justice, his mercy, his power, his love, his intellect, and his will, they're all the same in a sense in him, because there is no division in God. How cool is that? But perhaps the most significant attribute of God that we can come to understand is that he is good. And so to understand what it means for God to be good, and not only is he good, but he's the source of all goodness. He is goodness itself, right? And we know that theologically through the scriptures, but also philosophically, because we can define what goodness is. What is goodness? It is the achievement of some perfection. So what do I mean by that? I mean that a good rose bush is one that buds and produces beautiful roses. A rose bush that does not produce beautiful roses it lacks that goodness in a sense. It doesn't achieve that perfection, and so it's not a good rose bush. It's not that the rose bush is intrinsically bad, because it's been created by God, so it's intrinsically good, but that it lacks a certain perfection, and therefore it has some sort of evil. And to understand what I mean by that fully, we'll need to dive into the nature of evil, and that'll be next video. But suffice it to say that goodness is the achievement of a perfection, right? But we know that God is perfect, right? Because he is the cause of everything. And to not be perfect would mean to be lacking in some way. And God can't lack, because if God were lacking, then he would have to have some principle behind him that explained his lack, right? So God in no way lacks. He is perfect. And if he is perfection, and goodness is the achievement of perfection, then God is goodness itself. Because if he's perfect, he's also good. Like the two go hand in hand together. So I hope that makes sense. And so we just what we need to know from this is that God is not only omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, but he's also good. And that we can build to that just from his very existence. We don't need any sort of extrinsic arguments or even like a lot of theology here. We can build from this, or from his existence to his goodness philosophically. So for today's challenge, let's just spend some time thanking God for his goodness and receiving his goodness into our own hearts. Have a great day. Thank you guys so much.